What's going on, everyone? So the other day I did a video over on As It Stands Lakers, diving into D'Lo versus Rui and which guy is more important for the Lakers to keep if you had to keep one. And I said D'Angelo Russell. The consensus over there, particularly in the comments, was D'Angelo Russell as well. And particularly because most of the options that are available and that the Lakers are targeting are all 3-and-D perimeter wings. So if you trade a guard for a wing, right, now you just opened up another hole, right? Like if you were to trade D'Lo for Jeremy Grant, well, now you just opened a hole at the point guard position that you need to fill now. Now, could you turn Rui into that? Sure, right? Chances are the Lakers are going to end up trading both, but if you had to, right, and let's say you just got the Jeremy Grant trade, then it's in your best interest to trade Rui Hachimura for Jeremy Grant. Again, it's not so much about who is necessarily better, right? See a lot of talks and debates about like Rui is better than Grant and this, that, and the other. And, I think Jeremy Grant is the better overall player. I think he's just more versatile, but it's not even remove that debate. It's about who's the better fit. And Jeremy Grant is the better fit for the Lakers than Rui is because he's getting more versatile, play either forward position, but he's more of a natural three than Rui is. Right? Now, there are questions about his defense and his rebounding and things that matter, but also does that improve with the Lakers, right? It's one thing when, you're on teams that don't really emphasize a specific area, don't really care if you're, crashing the boards or not. And then there's another difference when you're on a team where, like JJ Redick talked about, he wants the corners crashing, right? Okay, well then, you're probably going to have Jeremy Grant crashing the boards more, which hopefully will increase his rebounding numbers, right? Also the defensive side. If he doesn't have as big of an offensive burden where he's basically the number one option on offense, is he able to pick up his defense, right? There's things like that that really go into it. But to me, the problem also is redundancy. Like Rui and LeBron, kind of redundant because they're both best at the four. Like LeBron at this stage of his career, the reason he's playing the four so much, and Rui is best at the four. Yes, he was great at the three and he really adapted and molded, but he's natural four, right? And you saw that in the games in which LeBron sat out. Right, Rui was fantastic filling in that role, and I mean he had a career night in one of those games last year, right? But also with D'Lo, you have this redundancy with Austin Reaves, and the problem is, can that backcourt of Reaves and D'Lo really thrive and be enough to win you a championship? Because again, both of these guys are kind of the same player, and my problem is that like D'Angelo Russell, if you had to choose between the two, right, I think that there is a genuine argument for D'Lo, right? But the Lakers really value Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves is basically untradeable to them, and outside of like Giannis or something like that, right? And so D'Lo now becomes the expendable one. But D'Lo has been the better shooter, the better volume shooter. He's the better playmaker, right? He's been slightly better defensively. I mean, neither are really a defensive stopper, but D'Lo has been just slightly better defensively. He was much more consistent last season than Austin Reaves was, right? But I understand why the Lakers want to keep Austin Reaves, right? His value, his contract, his production, right, was last year kind of an outlier because of all the basketball he played with Team USA and the deep playoff run the previous year, right? Okay, fine. You want to keep Austin Reaves, that's fine. But if you're going to keep D'Lo, one of these two got to go to the bench. And Austin Reaves has just been better off the bench. I mean, the numbers back it up, everything. He gives you the exact same stat line on better efficiency. Because for Austin Reaves, it's not about whether he starts or comes off the bench. It's about him actually getting the minutes and then playing against the bench rules. He's just getting, more efficiency because the defenses aren't as good. It's just better matchups for him. Right. And I just think, if you end up having to keep D'Lo, I do think that there is this argument to move Reaves to the bench. Also, I don't think Reaves, he's shown that he doesn't take it as like D'Lo takes it personal, and we've seen D'Lo kind of get bothered by it, particularly with Darvin Ham, where Austin Reaves kind of was just like, he wasn't happy about it, but he's kind of like, whatever, it is what it is. Let me go out there and ball. Let me go out there and hoop, right? So to me, I do think unless you can find that move that, you're turning D'Lo into that guard, or, again, if they're let's say they turn D'Lo into like a Wendell Carter Jr. or something, then yeah, then probably slide Reaves to the point and, kind of go that route, right? Whatever. But the problem is that D'Lo's market right now seems rather non-existent. Now, once you get closer to the trade deadline, I do think D'Lo's value will be far increased because he'll be an expiring contract. I mean, look at Russell Westbrook, right? Nobody wanted to touch Russell Westbrook in the offseason, but once you got to the trade deadline, I mean, Lakers didn't have to call people. People were calling the Lakers. Why? Because he was on an expiring contract. Expiring contracts become much more valuable once you get the trade deadline because you have all these teams that now want to unload guys. You have teams that thought they were going to be good but weren't, that are like, let's get off of some of these guys and kind of reset next year. You get teams that don't want to be good that are good, and they're like, let's get off of some of these vets that are performing because we want to tank for Cooper Flag or whatever. I also think the Lakers are going to greatly benefit from the tank race this year, especially closer to the trade deadline, right? But also another thing is, like, it's not so much D'Lo's, level of play. I mean, obviously in the playoffs there's concerns, but during the regular season, he's been excellent, right? And you need to be good in the regular season to make the playoffs. D'Lo can get you there. But also, how many teams need a point guard? Not many teams need a starting caliber point guard and, somebody like D'Lo who has his ailments, right? So, it makes things tricky. Where Austin Reaves, a lot of teams would take Austin Reaves because he is so cheap. It would be easy to trade for him contract-wise, but also, like, you can slot Reaves in multiple areas. You could do that with D'Lo too, but he's best with the ball in his hands, making plays as the point guard. Where Reaves, you can kind of have him on ball, off ball, do a little bit of everything, right? So, again, I do think Reaves, but having these two together, again, gives you this level of redundancy. So if you're not willing to put Reaves on the bench as, like, that 6-man role, which I just think would help the Lakers, period, right? Because if you could take D'Lo, have him be your starting point guard, and then move up, like, let's say you go make the trade for Jeremy Grant, I wouldn't hate even throwing in like a Jared Vanderbilt, right? And just go with the defense. And because you'd have, D'Lo who's shooting 40+%, LeBron who could shoot 40+%, you got Jeremy Grant shoots 40+%, right? Like, I see how that looks. Otherwise, you just go with Max Christie, move Max Christie, put that defensive guard alongside, or, defensive player, point of attack guy alongside D'Angelo Russell. And also, I should mention, because every time I'm like, you could just put Vando alongside D'Lo. People always go, well, you want to start Vando at the 2. I'm talking, like, for position's sake. No, you could go like LeBron at the point, D'Lo at the 2, Vando at the 3, Grant at the 480 at the 5. But what does Jared Vanderbilt do 90% of the time anyway? Out on the perimeter, defending guards, defending Luka, Kyrie, SGA, all those guys. Guess what? He usually is slotted defensively at the guard position because he's defending the guards, right? So again, on defense, you could slot him in guard at the 2 for position's sake if you want to get technical. But on the offensive side, you slot him down in, like, the dunker spot or in the corner, weak side, strong side corner, and have him be that screen setter. Like, put him in various actions. But the other side of that would be you go and you trade for, say, you trade D'Angelo Russell, right? And you turn D'Lo into something, right? Let's say a Wendell Carter Jr., like I said. Now, you're sliding over Reaves to the point, and he's probably going to be your initiator. He's going to be the guy kind of running your actions. I have concerns about that, right? Because the other side is, like, if you trade D'Lo, and also if you trade Gabe Vincent, right, now you're reliant on LeBron stepping into that playmaker role, Austin Reaves, and Jalen Hood-Schifino. Which is Jalen Hood-Schifino ready? I don't know. We don't really have a huge sample size to know one way or the other, right? And my problem with Austin Reaves is, can he be the initiator? Sure, but he doesn't handle ball pressure well. We saw that last year. Teams were pressuring him, and he had to get the ball out of his hands, or, had his struggles or turn the ball over. I mean, Darvin Ham was running Austin Reaves as the primary playmaker in the second unit at times, and it was horrible. I mean, like, no offense generated, right? Austin Reaves can get tunnel vision at times. Right? He's not really a playmaker. He can make a play. He can find the occasional cutter. He can find the open man. He can run the basics, but he's not a guy like D'Lo is a point guard. Like, you see D'Lo creating things and developing things. And, some of the best actions for the Lakers were D'Lo has the ball in his hands making a play, right? Or one of the best plays in all of basketball was the D'Lo AD pick and roll, right? So my concern is Austin Reaves able to do that? Now, the type of offense that JJ Redick wants to run, you don't necessarily need that playmaker. You just kind of need that initiator, right? Like, you just need a guy that can kind of get things going, and then all of the motion takes place, all the motion offense, and there's various passes and different set options that are kind of running and flowing through, right? Think of like the Warriors and their offense, right? Like, they never really had like a true playmaker. I mean, Chris Paul last year, but he was off the bench. But it was more so like, Draymond or Steph initiating, and then all the actions would kind of take place, and then they'd run out of Draymond or run out of, right? Like, you have LeBron. You could do that. And then if you ever did need like a true playmaker in a pinch, right? Offense stagnant, things aren't really working. Boom, you just, hey, LeBron, we need you to do this, right? But it's kind of why I lean towards going and getting a guy like a Bruce Brown. Like, and I know I've mentioned Bruce Brown a lot lately, but it's just the more that I think about it and the more that I talk about it, the more I'm like, I think Bruce Brown is the move. I do. Like, supposedly the Raptors are interested in D'Lo, not so much for him, the player, but more his expiring contract. So maybe you could work something out to where you go get a Bruce Brown, or if you're doing a deal with like the Nets, maybe you get like a Dennis Schroeder. Basically, get that complimentary guard alongside Reaves. Because again, they're not going to trade Reaves, and they're not going to bench Reaves. They're not. So if you're not going to do either of those, I think you have to go get somebody that can slot alongside Austin Reaves. And I think Bruce Brown makes some sense. Again, if you could get a Wendell Carter Jr. or, a Walker Kessler or something like that, then I do think you go get that. I do. And then I think like I said, you go with like a Vando or something, right? Like, you kind of figure it out. But I think outside of that, because we don't even know how available Wendell Carter and Walker Kessler are. We know the Lakers have touched base about them. We know that the Knicks made offers, but they were rejected. So, how much of that was they're just not interested in trading the guys, and how much of it is, teams don't value the Knicks picks because the Knicks are young and talented, right? So, to me, again, I do think you got to break up this backcourt, right? One way or the other. Whether you're trading one of the guys which would be D'Lo, or you're benching one of the guys, which, in my opinion, I think it should be Reaves. I do. I think Austin Reaves, again, I think the numbers back it up. I think he also just mentally would be able to take it better. I don't think he would feel slighted in any particular way, right? Like, I think that that's the approach that you take. But I do think that the Lakers, if you're going to make a trade and you're going to trade D'Lo, I think you need to get that point of attack guard. Right? I think you need to get somebody that can slot in alongside, that can initiate. Because like a guy like Bruce Brown, he can initiate the offense, he can defend, right? Like, he can make plays, he can do a little bit of everything. And I just think again, boils down to fit, right? Like Jeremy Grant, like I talked about, over Rui, fit. Bruce Brown over D'Lo, fit. It's not so much about who you think is a better player. Because look, D'Lo's the better offensive player than Bruce Brown, right? But Bruce Brown would fit better alongside a Austin Reaves, Jeremy Grant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis than D'Lo would, right? Because he'd give you more perimeter defense. He'd give you, that point of attack. He'd give you the 3-and-D style guard that can make plays and do everything. Like, I think that that's a more better just overall roster. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you think the Lakers should do with D'Lo and Reaves? Think that they should trade D'Lo and slot someone alongside Reaves? again, I know people are like, why don't you talk about trading Reaves over D'Lo? Like, you know, I'd rather keep D'Lo. But the problem is, it's not about what any of us want. It's about what the Lakers are going to do. Right? Like, I'm not going to make a bunch of videos talking about trading Reaves when we all know the Lakers aren't going to trade Reaves. I thought the Lakers should have traded Reaves for DeJounte Murray. I thought that was a no-brainer. But apparently the Lakers valued Reaves more than Murray. So, but again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.